Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at NECA's the Lightning Gremlin, the Toys R Us exclusive, and you'll never guess where I bought this. Toys R Us! I mean, can you believe it? That's crazy, Toys R Us actually stocking their own exclusives. Thought I'd have to go on eBay or something. Now, I sort of swore that I probably wouldn't pick this figure up just because he's not that great of value. It's just a sort of series of thin sheets of plastic, it looks like, or whatever, but it's in my local store. Saw him, caved, just like that. Figured he'd look really nice with light shining through him and stuff. Now, he was $12 in my local store, which charges $14 for the Mogwai. So, I mean, he might be a bit cheaper, but, you know, $12 for something like this, it's a little bit on the chintzy side. I can kind of see why they did go the exclusive route, because on his own, yeah. Actually, when I'm going to talk about unboxing him in a second, you know, basically what you see is what you get here. I mean, there's really no articulation, what have you, but tell you what, I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to open this package, and we're going to have a closer look at the Lightning Gremlin. Arguably the goofiest gremlin in Gremlins 2, but there are a lot of goofy gremlins in Gremlins 2. Stay tuned. He's electric. Now, I was originally planning on storing the figure back in his packaging part of the time. The only issue there is the material on this figure is pretty cheap, and, you know, just the fact that he detaches from the stand will make putting him back on the inner sort of blister a little bit difficult, but the packaging is really cool just because it's so incredibly thin. It's probably the thinnest clamshell ever. As for the figure, originally I was assuming that they probably layered sheets of plastic. It doesn't look like that. It looks like it's just sort of molded as one solid thing. And it's really contoured on the other side as well, so that does mean that he doesn't display very well when you just flip him around. Just kind of disappointment. The whole general effect for the detail and stuff, where we do have the contoured plastic, is still pretty neat. You know, it gives some definition to the character. And the plastic is incredibly cheap, as mentioned. It sort of looks and feels like those cheap protractors I used to have as a kid for like math classes and stuff. I mean, I don't feel that I'll probably break it, but all the same, it's just incredibly flimsy, so I do almost kind of suspect that I may damage it at some point in the future. So I'm clumsy. I am very, very clumsy. Now, one of the curious spots about this is that there are all these little peg holes, and I can't figure out what they're for. I mean, the stand won't really accommodate them. I mean, they sort of will plug into it, but you can't close the stand while they're into it, which I guess is sort of an issue. As you can see, this is two separate pieces, meaning that if you wish to, you could sort of tape him into a window or something, or on your wall, or you could display him freestanding. It sort of falls right into this little groove here, then another one to hold him in place. It's not terribly secure. He does tend to tip over if you just nudge it even the slightest, and given that the stand actually is meant to sort of divide, it has even less stability. Imagine that. Yeah. And then as mentioned, this little pegs here, which could potentially peg into that, but the thing won't close if they're in there. Not a terrible amount to say about this figure. I mean, the design's kind of neat. He's interesting as a novelty item, but for $12, you know, he's doesn't really live up to the value offered by other figures and lines, but given that he's an exclusive, he does get a little bit of leeway here, so he's really more of a collector's item than a mass release. Let me show you some light behind him. This probably won't work all that well. Wish I'd had a flashlight or something, but yeah, so I mean, he does look pretty decent if you probably toss some sort of light source behind him. And it's definitely Granted, it'd have to be like a smaller light source to really just make use of the whole thing. I mean, if you just put them in a window or something, you won't get like the same effect. I mean, yeah, definitely a decent display piece. Again, price-wise, maybe not the greatest value, but I am happy I picked him up just because he's a bit of a novelty, and I don't know, there's some nostalgia there. But yeah, this has been a look at the Lightning Gremlin, a Toys R Us exclusive, which I actually managed to find in Toys R Us. Again, I am shocked. Till next time, folks.